Today, we're taking a closer look at one of the most shredded guys in the big leagues. I'm talking 28-year-old Red Sox phenom, Duran. Huge shout out to the Bat Boys for going out, filming a workout with them and posting it on YouTube. Today, that's what we're gonna look at and break down. Let's get into it.
Today, I'm gonna be lifting with Red Sox star outfielder and one of the most jacked dudes in the MLB, Jarren Duran.
Here's a high fly ball off of the bat to Jarren Duran. That one will leave the yard. This dream season for Jarren Duran continues here with a home run in the All-Star game.
Some upper body, a little cardio in there. It's gonna be a good one.
What's up? I am Brandon Chipetti. I own the gym Rise Above Fitness in Huntington Beach. My gym is very unique. It's loud music, it's aggressive. We try to just build empowerment with especially athletes. They just really get after it in here, man.
What do we got today?
We got some yokes. We're gonna lift some chains. It's gonna get kind of aggressive in here. We're gonna get a good upper body day today.
Let's go.
Yep.
All right, they got yokes, chains. This strength coach seems like a badass, so definitely excited for this one. Jared said that they're gonna do some upper body and conditioning in this workout. So a couple key takeaways or a couple key points that I wanna make before this video. This video was filmed and uploaded about 3-4 months ago from the time I'm doing this video now. So that tells me that it should be, phase one or, even the first couple weeks of training of last off season. So some things we want to see in phase one of an off season before I even look at this workout video is general prep training, or GPP, is, essentially building work capacity or building a foundation for the remainder of the off season. So some things we want to see in that phase one is, yes, we want to see aerobic training or, anaerobic conditioning. You may be thinking, hey, Summers, what the heck? You want to see conditioning and aerobic training with a baseball player? Yes, I want to see that because the research shows early on in a program, if you train aerobically and condition, it's going to set that athlete up better for the remainder of the offseason to recover when they start doing their strength, their hypertrophy, and explosive power training. So we do want to see Jarren get in there, get his heart rate up, and condition. What we also want to see a big priority in that early in the offseason is mobility and movement quality stuff. I want to see a lot of range of motion, some cars, maybe some pails to rails, etc., to build a base level of movement patterning for the remainder of the offseason. It's also good to see some coordination and some motor skills. So different types of med ball drills or basic, locomotion activities, maybe some different change of direction sprinting, stuff like that. And we'd like to see some general, compound strength movements in here as well, and some injury prevention tactics. So GPP, all we're trying to do is set up a foundation for him to recover better for the remainder of the offseason. It's also important to understand the athlete. Jarren Duran is an absolute explosive freak. Speed has always been a part of his game throughout high school and throughout college. So he had it. He had the twitchiness. He had the explosiveness. And over the years watching him train and looking at his, progression over the last couple years with this particular strength coach, I think they did a great job of adding a ton of mass to his pre-existing explosive frame. So you have to know your athlete. Do I think it's good to add a bunch of mass on every baseball player out there? No, but Jarren in this case was already explosive, was always twitchy, and he was a bit skinny, so him and his strength coach prioritized throwing some armor on him to lay a foundation to even further build upon, throughout the remainder of his career. So just looking at him, looking at his progression, I think they did a fantastic job, and I'm excited to see this workout. All right, let's dive back in. Hopefully we see some GPP and hypertrophy training. All right, so we got yoke carry, warm up, 80 feet. Then we got 10 sledgehammer slams each side. Then it looks like they just get right into a incline barbell bench press. So if that was all the warm up, I don't think that's a very good warm up. to be honest with you. Any good warm-up for athletics, we want to see a ramp principle. So we want to raise tissue temperature, we want to activate the muscle, we want to mobilize, and we want to potentiate. So the yoke carry and the sledgehammer slams, definitely gonna, raise tissue temperature, might activate the muscle a little bit, but we'd like to see maybe some controlled articular rotations, maybe some T-spine mobility exercises to fill up that flat tire, right, before he goes into the training session. And they're just going right into an incline dumbbell bench press. So I'd like to see maybe a little more shoulder prep work, if you will. But regardless, let's go ahead and get into this incline barbell bench press here.
Someone here.
You max bench anytime recently?
So he's doing a
So we combine chest and back.
incline bench press, 8 reps.
Nice.
Speed push-up there.
And he's going into a kettlebell gorilla row, it looks like, 10 of them each arm. Then he's doing a banded speed push-up for 30 reps. And then he's going back through it. So this circuit is a incline barbell bench press for 8 reps using accommodating resistance with the chains. Those chains, what they do is the accommodating resistance. As they press, those chains come off the ground, putting more weight, more load on the barbell. Using chains for accommodating resistance is one of the most underutilized, components or things in training for athletics. They are very, very good to, build strength at those sports-specific angles, if you will. Then they went into a kettlebell gorilla row. Really love this exercise for reciprocal actions. You think baseball, right? When you throw, you reciprocate. One arm comes through, one arm pulls the other arm through. Same thing when you're hitting. The lower half pulls the upper half through. So any reciprocal movements like this gorilla kettlebell row is very good to get that reciprocal action. Then they go on to a speed push-up. Believe it or not, really not getting any speed adaptation because it's so many reps and it's after the incline bench and the gorilla row. I guess they just call it speed because they're trying to rep it out as much as possible. This circuit here is gonna throw a lot of blood into your chest and you're gonna feel very fatigued, after 3-4 rounds of this that they're about to do.
Yeah, the push-ups are kicking my ass right now. You want to lift heavy, but after doing like push-ups and stuff like that, you're like, nah, I can't do that anymore.
So if you heard what he just said is kind of what I was just talking about is he says you want to go back in and go heavier on the incline bench, but it's hard to do after you just did those push-ups. So that right there shouldn't happen if you are trying to build like a strength adaptation or really true muscle hypertrophy. You want to be, rested up to be able to go into that incline bench press and be able to lift more weight. I know it's 8 reps, so they are looking for muscle hypertrophy because anywhere from 8 to 12 reps, you're looking for size. But if they wanted to get the most out of this incline bench and gorilla row, they wouldn't do those speed push-ups and gas themselves out before they go back through the circuit.
We'll go yoke there and back, 10 each side, 2 rounds of back.
Now they're going back into the yoke carry and going into a medicine ball throw here.
Is there anything special with this?
Looks like they're doing 2 rounds. So again, not really sure why they put another yoke carry in after the first strength block and then go right into a med ball toss. Ideally, we'd like to see that med ball toss if they're trying to build explosive power at the beginning of the workout before they went and taxed themselves from the incline, the gorilla row, and the speed push-ups. So they did 2 rounds of that. Now they're going into another, strength cluster, if you will.
Straight up, shoulder press.
We're going over the bone.
What is that grip?
Going lat pull down.
So I like working with a lot of different type of grip strength mechanisms,
Yeah.
attachments, especially for baseball. It's so crucial, just your grip on the bat.
Yeah, anytime you can vary grips, that's going to be, best case for ball players for sure. Then a dumbbell shoulder press, and then back to the lat pull down. Wow. Okay, so they're going lat pull down, then they're going pull-ups as many reps as possible, then they're doing a dumbbell raise, 10 in front and then 10 to the side, and then they're going into a shoulder press after that. If we're just talking lat pull down to pull-ups, it's never really a good idea to do that because the fatigue of those lat pull-ups are gonna diminish the returns of the pull-ups, meaning you're not gonna be able to get as crisp, as clean pull-ups after your lat pull down, so there's really no sense in even doing it if your form is so bad. And then in these videos here, yeah, it looks like they can clean up their form on those pull-ups, and heck, if you even did those pull-ups before the lat pull downs, you'd be able to get more pull-ups in, leading to, you know, greater hypertrophy gains and greater gains, you know, from that movement. And they're just gassing out their shoulders at the end of that complex here. Looks like they're going 3 rounds through this. Pull-ups are actually pretty decent, man. He's a strong guy, but he could definitely get cleaner pull-ups if he didn't do the lat pull-downs before. Okay, now we're going back to the yoke carry for 80 feet. And we're going into the ropes for 50 reps each side. Again, not too sure whether adding another yoke carry and then ropes in there, maybe just, you know, try to get their cardio up, try to increase their heart rate. Definitely better ways you can organize this to get, you know, better gains out of it. And we'll talk about it towards the end of the workout, but it looks like he wants to add that yoke in right after, you know, certain strength blocks throughout this workout. He only did 2 rounds of it this time as well.
We're only going 3 rounds. Usually we go 4 rounds of everything.
Bro, I'd like cheat myself by doing too much bodybuilder shit. I don't build the stamina.
Yeah, that's how I was when I first got here too. Full chest fly.
Yeah.
Angle though, make sure you grab.
Okay, now it looks like they're going cable chest fly.
You have to do a power. It's kind of like a rule.
This is how you lead the league in triples.
15 there, we're gonna do change.
It's not how you lead the league in triples. So cable chest fly, okay? Cable chest flies aren't your ideal chest workout for ball players just because the risk versus reward ratio isn't there. The movement places shoulders in a very vulnerable position and an unprotected position as that pec fully lengthens. I've seen a lot of rotator cuff strains happen and labrum issues happen, along with even one of my buddies ended up ruining his career. He blew out his AC joint doing a simple cable chest fly. There's plenty of other exercises that we can be doing. I hate deeming one exercise bad, but the risk versus reward ratio simply isn't there on the cable chest fly, and we know that.
Triples.
15 there, we're gonna do chain curls.
15 cable chest flies, chain curls, and tricep skull crushers. These guys are just trying to get absolutely massive, which I respect.
Yo, Jarren, when did you like really get jacked? Was it like during COVID?
No, it was like, honestly, the first time I came in here, he was like, oh, we got a long ways to go.
I've never seen anyone do that, like get jacked but maintain speed and stuff in the league.
It's got a good program, man.
Program A step one is it's not much of a drop off from what we do in the off season. A little bit more well thought out so we can maintain a little bit more, but so many players when they go to season, they get increasingly slower or weaker, which is weird.
That was one thing I liked about having him as my trainer in the program. Was like, I never felt like I was getting weaker.
Yeah.
I felt like I was staying strong, which was an important thing for me. Playing so many games and stuff that was massive.
So we grew up Nats fans, and Bryce Harper, like when he first came into the league, he was kind of skinny, but then he would show up to spring training yoked out of his mind, but he'd lose speed.
Oh, really?
It's like,
yeah, he hits like 40 homers a year. He doesn't have to run the bases like me.
And guys like Miguel Cabrera, Hanley Ramirez, used to be speed demons, then they bulked up, became power hitters.
Yeah. You gotta see too is like the games get long, they're playing a lot of games, their bodies probably get tired a little bit, so they're like, do I need to steal 20-ish bags or can I just hit 20 more home runs and drive myself in? So they probably went for the drive myself in 20 more times, which isn't a bad thing. They just know themselves, like, which is a really important thing, is like, you can get stronger and stuff, but like, if you don't know who you are and what you do, like, I'm not a home run guy. I'll run into baseballs, but I'm not gonna go out there and hit like 40, 50 homers. I know I'm gonna have to like out singles and doubles and then stretch doubles and triples. So like, an important thing for me is just staying strong and staying fast.
That was a really good conversation they just had there. Even, you know, what the strength coach and stuff weighed in is he's right. Like, typically in baseball, since it's a 162 game season at the big league level, and heck, you even see this, you know, with high school kids not lifting and training during season, or, you know, college kids not lifting and training during season. So he has a very good understanding, him and his strength coach, of exactly what he needs to be, you know, still fast, explosive when, you know, the playoffs come in October, you know, during the end of the year, because he's training all season long. That is very important. Not only that, he builds a very incredible foundation, a size to play with, you know, throughout the entire season. So even if he does lose a little bit of size, he's still going to be bigger than 99% of the other guys out there, because they spent so much time putting all that armor on him during, you know, the 3-month off season. So what they're talking about is very smart. His strength coach says he doesn't get it how guys, you know, can show up, you know, so big and lose all their gains throughout the season. And the Bat Boys guy even said, you know, a famous picture of Bryce Harper showing up to camp super swole, but he doesn't look like that at the end of the season. That's because they don't prioritize their in-season training. Maybe they do, but, you know, a guy like Bryce Harper, I know for a fact he does prioritize his in-season training. He's just playing every single game, 162, so it is hard to keep that size on. So could you imagine the guys that simply don't lift, don't train during the season? They're not going to be the same player when it matters most at the end of the year. And another thing Jarren was talking about is he knows the type of player that he is. He's not going out trying to hit 50-plus home runs. He'll take his 20, but he knows he's going to go ahead and steal a bunch of bags, and he's looking to extend doubles into triples. That's his game. He knows his game, so he plays and he trains all offseason for that reason. You got to know what type of player you are. The best in the world know it, and they're not trying to be anybody else.
And then 10 leg raises.
Now they're finishing up with a prowler push. So a sled push into a hanging leg raise for 10 reps. So that's where you're getting your, you know, cardio, if you will.
You kind of like start caving forward. That's why I like the mixed push and pull, but this kind of gets your shoulder down.
What his strength coach just said there was very smart. You know, we're doing a lot of pushing, so you're going to start to come forward. So you got to, you know, work the antagonist of that. You got to start working your way backwards. And especially baseball players, they're throwing all forward. So it's always good to really double up, sometimes triple up on your rows or your decelerators, if you will. So he just gave the Bat Boys guy a band to start working in the opposite direction. You know, it's a very good idea to do that as a corrective at the end of an upper body training day, especially with this much volume, man, pushing forward. All right, let's put pen to paper, go over this entire workout routine they just did. We have the workout all written down here, and man, when you look at it pen to paper, it sure is a meaty workout. There's no doubt about it. This guy grinds his ass off. That's how he's been able to make such a crazy body transformation, you know, over the last couple of years. Yes, you're gonna get absolutely massive doing this workout, but is it the smartest thing to do for baseball performance? With all this volume, you know, I'm predicting that Jarren, sometime over the next couple years, as he ages throughout the game, is gonna start to realize, hey, training isn't about quantity, it's about quality, and you can get a lot more bang for your buck dialing back that volume, dialing back some of these exercises, and really prioritizing the movements over, you know, than just going in there just trying to get the work done. So this is what it looked like. A was a yoke to a sledgehammer slam, that's fine. B, they did an incline bench to a gorilla row into a speed push-up. C, they went back to the yoke into a med ball toss. D, they did a lat pull down. They did pull-ups, they did dumbbell raise, they did shoulder presses. Then they went back to the yoke, back to the ropes. F, they did a chest fly, they did a curls, they did triceps, and then G, all the way down there, they went ahead and did, you know, their conditioning, if you will, the sled push to the leg raise. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this time of year, at the beginning of the off season, yeah, you know, they knocked everything off. They did, you know, some movement quality stuff. They did their hypertrophy training that, you know, Jarren prioritizes. And they also did a lot of general prep work. But I believe, you know, as a professional, the guys that I trained, and from my experience working with some of the best players in the world, I believe there's a lot better way we can set this program up to get more bang for your buck and to get Jarren some more gains. But overall, this thing's sweet, man. They went in there, they hang, they bang, they lifted some iron, guys got swole. I really love it. I would rather see this than, you know, your guys going in there doing, you know, just all mobility, all water bag stuff like some of these guys do. At least these guys gripped and ripped and they're forcing stuff to happen. And why exercise order is so crucial is if you look as you go down the line of this workout, as you go down, your nervous system and your body can only handle so much. So as they're getting down into this D, this E, this F block, there's no way they're gonna be able to hit clean reps on these exercises because their nervous system, their body's gonna be taxed out from the so much volume in the beginning of this workout. So when I say focus on quality, not quantity, that's what I mean. You might as well not even do a lot of this stuff because you're not getting anything out of it. You're simply just going in there grinding, which is all fine and dandy, but the smarter way and the more science-based way of doing it would be kind of setting it up like this. So your A block is gonna be a movement prep or MP. You gotta give me a little something. Let me see some T-spine mobility at the beginning. Let me see some cars. Let me see some band work. Okay, so we can do like a shoulder car. We can do a T-spine. And then we can do maybe like a mini band series or something. And we can go, heck, 2 rounds of that is gonna be suffice. Now you're getting your whole ramp principle. You're raising the tissue temperature, you're amplifying the muscle, you're mobilizing, and you're potentiating, just all in 3 little exercises right here in the movement prep. Let me fill that tire up before I go out and hit the road. It's gonna prepare him better when he goes into those, you know, heavy incline bench press, okay? Then, right after that, B block, okay? Let me hit some sort of primer. You know, it can be a primer / power, if you will, so he can keep his overhead sledgehammer. So we'll go sledgehammer, but he's not gonna baby it, you know, like they did in the video. He's gonna really rip on it. He's gonna build the adaptation. He's gonna keep his power. Then he'll immediately go into that side med ball toss that they went ahead and did down here. Okay, so med ball toss. And instead of hitting 10 reps on each side of these, what if he did 5? What if he did 6 at max intent? That's gonna give him better adaptation. So we're gonna say 5 reps on each side of the sledgehammer paired with 5 reps high intent on that med ball toss, and you're gonna go ahead and hit that 3 to 4 times, taking long breaks in between because you're trying to build power during that block. Okay, so now we knocked off the med ball toss and we went ahead and knocked off the sledgehammer. Then for C, okay, now since we're ramped up, ready to go, we did our power work, order of importance. Now we're gonna go into the strength block, all right? That's fine, let's hit our incline bench. With the chains, accommodating resistance, that's money. Then we can go pair that with the gorilla row. If he's trying to build hypertrophy early on in a program, that's fine. We don't need to go volume down. We can still keep his 8 reps. And we can still keep the 10 on the gorilla row. Keep it 3 rounds. Easy money. So now we went ahead, we knocked off the incline bench, accommodating resistance. Then you can go on to an accessory block, all right? Now you're getting your pulling. Lat pull down. So in this strength block, okay, I know it's high volume, but we went ahead, did the incline bench, gorilla row. We can just do these together. We don't need to add the speed push-ups into this block because like they said earlier on in the video, those speed push-ups, right, just fatigue them, you know, when they go back to the incline bench. So I'd rather prioritize those two exercises, get the most out of them in that block, than go ahead, fatigue the crap out of it to where they can't get as much out of that. So I added those two in together. Bang, they'll hit that for 3 rounds. Now we'll move down the ladder. We will hit our lat pull down for 8, but then we can go ahead and add our speed push-ups down into this block. Speed push-ups, because you did a vertical pull. Now you can go ahead and do your press because it's not going to be crazy fatigued in this block. Now, after that, we can go ahead and keep our lateral raises. And we can do that 3 times as well if they really wanted to. So now you are getting a vertical pulling action, then you're getting a horizontal press, and you're getting, you know, your arm care, if you will, like they described in the video with their front raises and their lateral raises. So we're not doubling up on any planes of motion in any of these different, you know, strength blocks, if you will. But again, just simply by reorganizing this, you can get the most strength adaptations, the most bang for your buck, you know, out of this entire workout. So now we can go on to an arm farm after. And we can keep our curls with the chains, and we can keep our triceps, you know, skull crushers with the dumbbells. No problem about that at all. And we can keep the same reps on that as well. And we can still hit, you know, our 3 rounds. If you noticed, we didn't do the yoke yet. We didn't do, you know, the ropes. We didn't do the sled raise. We didn't do the leg raise, okay? But we knocked off lat pull down. We're gonna bang pull-ups because this late in a workout, you're not really gonna get much out of it anyways. Then we did show the dumbbell raise and the shoulder raise, okay? So now we did the curls, the triceps. We're gonna exit out that chest fly. Don't really like that movement. We're doing plenty of pushing in this workout as well. So exit that out. Now at the end of the workout, okay, this is where your central nervous system is gonna be taxed. So that's okay to add all your GPP stuff, your general prep, you know, your aerobic, your conditioning stuff, if you will, because you want to train tired during those different movements anyways. So now, instead of adding yokes at 3 different time periods during this workout, we can just add them all together and do more rounds of it. So we can add B, C, D, E, F is going to be your GPP block. We can add the yoke, okay? So we can add the yoke, then we can add the ropes. Then we can add the sled push. Then we can add the leg raise. And we can do these 2 to 4 times in circuit format. So you'll go from the yoke to the ropes to the sled to the leg raise. But we're gonna rest 2 minutes before we hit it again to let our ATP recover so we still are able to do some of this, you know, at higher intent. But between those, we're gonna go quick. Then you're gonna rest 2 minutes, like I said, and go 2 to 4 rounds of that. So this structure still gives you 99% of the movements that he just did during this workout, but it's gonna set you up better for success because you're working of orders of importance. You're working in orders of how your nervous system receives stimuluses. Movement prep is one of the most important things to do. Knock that off. Now when you're trying to be snappy, you're trying to be powerful, you're doing this basically first. Okay, you're not gonna be fatigued, so you're gonna build speed and power adaptation. Then your main strength block you're doing right after that to where we can get really heavy, you know, for those 8 reps, for those 10 reps on the gorilla row. Now your nervous system's getting less and less fatigued. As you go down the board, your intensity is gonna get lower, but your volume can go up. When we go to the top of the board, your intensity needs to increase and your volume needs to go down. That is how you play with the nervous system to force adaptation. All great movements. really good program. You're gonna get super swole with it. This is just a more optimal way of doing it. But at the end of the day, Jarren and his trainer have a very good understanding of what he needs as an athlete. I believe his trainer is very, very smart and has done a very fantastic job with him over the last couple years they've been training together. Look at him as a player. Like I said, he's always been fast, he's always been explosive. Adding that size, adding that armor to his game really excelled him to the next level. So when you get an athlete like that, when he's blessed, when he's already powerful, when he's already, quick twitch, when he has it, you can go ahead as a strength coach and just add a lot of size onto him and add a lot of strength to him. And that's gonna set him up for a lot of success, for the remainder of his career. So I would grade this workout today, I would grade it probably an 8 out of 10. Very good movements. I liked how they went balls to the walls. I like how gritty this guy's gym is. They go in there. We kind of have the same mindsets. The game rewards the grind. Can it be ordered a little bit better to set him up for success? Yeah, I believe any program could be. But Jarren's gonna have a very, very good, long, healthy career. I believe training this way, he may make some adjustments to his program as he ages, throughout his career. Like I said, over, the quality of each exercise rather than the quantity. But I think he's very set up for success. I think he's gonna have a really good year. And like I said, shout out to those Bat Boys for keep, filming videos with all these big league players. If you guys like this type of video, I'll go ahead, pull another workout from their channel and break down what I think of, that particular, their new big leaguers training program. And always remember, if you want to use the same exact training program that we use in here with our major league players, with our college All-Americans, our high school cats going D1, right? Go ahead, click the link in the description below. You can get year-round training, whether you're a youth player, high school player, college player, or all the way up to the big leagues. And always remember, pumping out weekly content on this channel. Do us a favor and subscribe for us. Appreciate you. Catch you in the next one. Game rewards the grind. It knows how much you've invested.